go down again. Everybody in a panic.
The only reason I have fish for my grandkids, otherwise I wouldn't have. I liked it when people were forced to talk to each other. We know more what's going on in our life right now if we have that. Makes it look like we're in tunnel.
All right, everybody, it's 6 o'clock. Let's start our village council meeting. Let's start with a roll call. Oh, everybody, welcome to our village council meeting. Let's start with a roll call.
On the paper.
Wales,
Here.
Bishop,
Here.
Dunham. Here. Larson.
Here.
Miller. Here. Needham.
Here.
White.
Here.
Let's move on. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You tallest men in the room and you're part of the flag.
I couldn't see the flag.
Yeah, I know.
Trying to get out of the way.
All right, seeking approval of the regular agenda.
I would make that motion with to approve the original approval agenda with the addition of item G under new business for meeting location.
Meeting
Wait,
location.
which one? G?
Meeting
Add
location
G
for discussion.
Do you support that?
What was the addition?
Meeting location.
G under new business.
I guess.
Thanks.
That's not good.
Motion and support.
Sure, so we have a motion and second to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed? Carries.
Seeking approval for the consent agenda. Board members can request certain items to be removed from the consent agenda for discussion. A motion is then in order to adopt all items not removed. After that motion is passed, discussion will occur on those items previously selected for removal.
So moved.
Motion and support. All those in favor of the consent agenda, say yes.
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 Anyone opposed? We now have room for brief public comment. Stand, state your name, place of residence, disclose any relationship with the village of Kalkaska, direct comments towards myself, and limit criminals less if possible. Do we have any public comment this evening? Moving on, we have no presentations. On to Finance Committee.
Okay, we met today at 5 and we went over our first invoices and we make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $64,670.88. And the invoice amount would be $113,176.96.
Motion, do we have support?
Support.
Any discussion of the bills? Roll call when you're ready, ma'am.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Wales.
Yes.
Carries.
There's a motion.
Okay. We also had a discussion about cannabis inspection fees, which we're gonna table until next meeting. We also had a discussion on the contract for our future assistant manager. And the finance committee is recommending that we accept the contract. So that's a motion
Any second?
What was the motion?
to accept the contract for Faith for assistant manager.
Is there a second so we can discuss?
I'll second.
Open for discussion.
Okay. I don't know if everybody read that all the way through very closely. Has it gone through the attorney?
That is the exact same contract that I had as assistant manager that Scott had through Brian Green.
All right, first of all, everybody knows what I think of Faith. I think she's probably a very valuable asset, but I am also very concerned about the village, what we're looking at with this. There's talk in the community, this isn't just in this village board of what's happening with us. And everybody wants to know who's gonna get paid $78,000 for a job that they're not that old at. Number two, they're not that experienced at. And number two, three, if something would happen to Scott today, is she ready to take over the village?
Here. And yes,
Yeah, we got a good job description. In 3 years, she's gonna be making over $90,000, according to the contract. If something happens, we terminate her during that 3 years, she's got a job for life. It says that if we terminate her, she can have her old job back. If that has already been done away with or filled, then we are to provide her with a different job.
well, if you terminate her for cause, obviously that would not be an issue. If we're terminating the position, she would have the right to bounce back to that position. Terminating the position only. If you terminate a person, obviously you terminate the person. On the financial part, I'll address that. Currently, Faith is making about $55,000 a year. And
2687,
my
78.
last assistant manager contract was set at $64,000 a year. We're combining those two positions and paying at 78, so we're actually ahead money at the end of the day. Because we're not gonna fill the deputy clerk's position. This is more of a longevity and continuity of government move than it is than anything. And I also have, Faith has joined the Academy or the Association of Government Accountants for training. And she's also today looking into human resources certification, which is something that we do not have currently. And that is something she came to me and asked if she could look into. And that's why I gave you the organizational structure, because basically, if you think about it, I'm the president, and then we have two vice presidents. It would be Bill Robbins and Faith. And this would put them both in very similar categories as far as pay. With her having more responsibility probably at the end of the day than what Bill does.
Isn't the deputy clerk position something that we're required to have?
No, that's something we didn't even have till 2 years ago.
Yep. I think it's.
And that was a continuity thing as well, but she knows enough about Angie's job that she could fill it for Angie today.
I think it's really hard to talk about these kind of things because we obviously put so much trust into our employees, and Faith brings a lot to the table. She's very committed to the village and has brought, has energized like new roles that have created and has been part of this process of us growing. As I have, when you were assistant manager and when there are discussions of continuing the assistant manager position, do not think that it makes sense to have a village manager who fills both the chief of police and manager position, and then have a full-time assistant manager. If the manager position needs an assistant, then that tells me that there's too much being put on that one person to be chief of police and village
Well,
manager.
from a different standpoint, look at this. When I go on vacation, who's in charge?
Well,
Nobody.
I think that in many municipalities that are small, you don't always have the luxury of having just another whole human to pick up where somebody else is not. Like sometimes you have to have other systems in place in order to have the continuity if someone goes on vacation or leaves their position.
So whether we call it assistant manager or deputy clerk, what's the difference? It's one position.
Well, it's about $23,000 difference
But it's
for
saving
one.
you money at the end of the day.
And two, we have a position that has been combined for many years, that has been told to us over and over again is saving us money because the chief of police and village manager are combined. I do not think that that is serving us at this stage and with this structure. I think that probably because you have a lot on your plate, right, to do both, that a lot of the management of the police force falls on the lieutenant versus having a chief to do that and then the lieutenant being out in the field.
That's not a lieutenant's job in any department. A lieutenant is an administrative position.
Then would we need to have both a chief and a lieutenant if we had a chief who was full-time?
Because I'm not here 24/7.
Do we have the luxury in this village to be able to have that duplication of positions? I have not been convinced by the way that our village, the way that our budget is, or what the needs are, because it has not been put forward what the duties are. I asked when you were hired for the village manager position, how you spend your time, and you said you couldn't answer that question.
Well, every 5 seconds is different.
I do the same thing at my job, and I still have to account where I'm spending my time so that my supervisor knows where time is being spent.
I think what I'm hearing here is that we have a council that wants to micromanage my management. You hired me to manage, you gotta let me do it. Like, that's my job. If something's not coming out right, then we'll address that. But telling me how to run the day-to-day operations is not the legal definition of a board.
I'm not telling you how.
I'm not saying, that's what I'm saying, I'm not accusing, I'm sorry, this isn't to you
No,
specifically,
that's okay.
so I apologize.
I understand where you're coming from, and I know we don't wanna move into a position where we are micromanaging, because that's also not efficient. I'm just saying that with how we're growing, I have a very hard time, no matter how wonderful a candidate is, supporting an assistant manager position, especially at this level, right? It's not part-time or anything, when the chief of police and manager position are combined. And that's just me as a council member.
So you're saying you would support hiring assistant manager if we hired a chief?
I'm saying I would like to know what it would look like to hire a chief and a manager and how that would relieve the pressure on the manager, and maybe we wouldn't need an assistant manager.
For some reason, you're assuming that this is something, this isn't just a workload issue. This is a longevity and a continuity issue. This is, I'm not gonna be here, I'm quite a bit older than Faith. I'm not gonna be here nearly as long as she may be. I'm trying to also plan for the future of what we're doing.
Right, and I understand that. I don't know, I'm not convinced that we have the financial resources to be able to staff our staffing in that way. I also do not understand why are we continuing to hire without posting positions. I just do not think that that is best practice. We are publicly funded, and we have an obligation to.
I'm not hiring, I'm promoting. There's a difference. If I'm hiring, absolutely. But if, I would hope this council wouldn't say we should bring someone in from the outside rather than promoting our people that are good and doing their jobs and deserve to be promoted. We gotta take care of the people that are working for us and dedicating their life to this village first. And if we have someone qualified, why are we gonna go look for somebody else that could come in here and be an absolute train wreck? We don't know what we're gonna get if we hire. If we hire someone, promote someone from inside, we know what we're getting. I know it's a different point of view, but that's where I'm at.
I just wanted to put it all out there, and it is difficult to talk about because I do think that this individual has brought a lot.
And I hope you know I'm not arguing with you.
No, I know.
So if it comes across, I apologize. I'm just debating my side.
Yeah, you have to defend like what you have on the table and the reasons behind it, which is why I just wanted to. That is where I stand. So if I vote no, it is not a personal thing at all.
Is there any further discussion? Did you want to say anything?
Am I allowed to say something? Absolutely. So for the people that are in here that don't really know, I've been with the village for 7 years. I've been here when we were falling apart and we almost couldn't make it, and there's 2 of us running this whole building. I have a lot of passion for our community. I don't believe things have been done correctly. I wanna see things given to our community input. I want our community taken care of. I haven't seen a lot of that. I think it's unfair that my age is being brought into this. I am young, but I've been through a lot more than most people have. And that makes me a little more mature. Nobody knows what I do in here, because nobody's in here watching me. I do a lot for this place, and I will continue. I don't just sit here and do this. I don't go out of my lane. I'm here to make this place better. I want us to move forward. What we've been going through is absolutely insane to me. I can't believe we're going through what we have. And I agree, that is a lot of money, but also, how do I go down from there? You guys have put the pay scale so high, how do I go down from there? I'm not here for the money. I'm here for our community and see our community move in a great direction. I'm willing to go to college and get a degree. If it's HR and continue my degree as I was, I'm gonna be starting that when my son goes back to school. And you do need an assistant manager. Like, you have one person, those thoughts going through one person's mind. Well, what if you have this input and this input? Then you make a better end result. You know, I've been doing this legwork already, and nobody knows that. Without pay, without title, that's okay. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Could I have a word? I appreciate everything I've heard tonight in regards to this issue. The one thing I haven't heard is how all of this is going to serve the community as a whole. The residents that pay these finances and pay these funds and pay these salaries, all right? We're talking about what needs to be done to run this village office, but I go through this village community every day and see shortcomings all over the place, okay? There's lots of communities within the state of Michigan, villages and cities that don't have assistants. Now, if an assistant is necessary and needed, that's fine. I'm not in the day-to-day activities of this place, so I'm not gonna sit here and say yay or nay to whether it's needed or not, okay? If it is, it is, and that's fine. But you as a board, you as elected officials need to start serving the taxpayers of this community. And they need to start seeing some results, because the problem is within the village right now, this community does not see results of what's going on. You can take a look at our sidewalks, you can take a look at our streets, you can take a look at our shoulders, you can take a look at the private owned properties as well as the properties owned by the village that are not maintained. And it's disgusting.
What village properties? Just
The village property right behind, right there on off of Main Street where the old village office was. Around the fence, the weeds are 4 foot tall. If I had weeds in my yard like that, somebody would be knocking on my door telling me I got a week to mow it, or they're gonna ticket me. It's disgusting. It's been disgusting for 3 years.
you're right.
This board needs to start serving the community, whether it's with the village manager, this board, and an assistant, that's fine. But doggone it, you gotta step up.
Can you hit, if you're done?
Yep.
I want to address, because that really reminded me of something. Faith came to me about 3 weeks ago and said, why does anybody want to live in the village?
That's right.
What do we do for the village?
Not much.
And that's where we came up with some of these ideas, like we're looking at revamping Chalker Park. We're looking at paving some more streets. We haven't been upkeeping our village.
No,
We haven't been
Not
taking
years.
care of Chalker Park.
not years. I remember when there was a village manager that was a chief of police. I sat on that at that table, not this one, but another one, as a board member. And he was a chief of police and the village manager.
So,
And this community, the streets and sidewalks were kept up.
and I assure you, it is on the list and we are working on it.
I know,
And
but
I
how
know,
far down the list?
talk. Well, for example, North Coral Street, hopefully we're paving that next year.
Yeah.
This year, we're fixing the intersections on North Walnut and we're taking care of drainage problems.
It just has to be seen.
Absolutely.
I mean, and
Agreed
that's all I'm
completely.
saying. It just, the community has to see it,
100%.
or they're gonna resent a village manager, an assistant, and anything else. It's gotta be seen.
And I'll just say it for everybody in the room, black and white. I'm not Scott. I have a whole
I hope
different,
not.
I have a whole different mentality. I want this town to be great.
I hope.
And I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just saying it's a whole different, and I've got somebody over there that wants to help with that that will point those things out to me.
Well, I was
So
born in Michigan. I wasn't born in Missouri, but by golly, what they say in Missouri, it's a show me state. So I plan on staying here for a
Understood.
while.
Understood, and I agree completely.
I'll shut up now.
No, I appreciate it. You actually reminded me of things that need to be talked about. And if we don't talk about them, nobody knows. And that's one thing I want to do when we get our website fixed. You're gonna see a spot on there called Manager's Minutes. I'm gonna talk about the things that we're working on, because you don't know we're getting ready to pave the street until we
Right.
pave the street. So it needs to be communicated, and we need to be more
It does.
open, and we need to repair a relationship with the township, with the county, with some of the individuals in the village. We have a lot of work to do. And it's gonna be done, I promise.
It's been ongoing problems for years, overlooked.
Overlooked?
Now all of a sudden, it's like working on your house, you don't do nothing. And pretty soon, 5-10 years down the road, it's, geez, I gotta do something with my roof. I gotta get my windows, I gotta do something with my yard, I gotta do the siding.
And that's where we're at. We haven't done that.
And it starts costing you money. But if you do the upkeep all the time, like it should be done, roads should be done every 8 years. But you just can't go do the whole village. It's just, you wouldn't have enough money.
Paving North
You're gonna
Coast
do
Street's $1
one-
million job.
From 72 to Dresden.
Sure.
You barely have enough money to do a whole street like that. So you gotta do a little bit at a time because nothing was done prior. So now you're stuck with it.
And that's also where we're getting creative at looking at grants.
Until you get caught up.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Are we done with the discussion?
A roll call vote for the approval of the assistant manager contract. Dunham?
No.
Larson?
No.
Miller?
Yes.
Needham?
I'm gonna put myself on a limb because the finance committee says they can do it and make it work. There's always ways to get out of a contract, I'll say yes.
White?
Yes.
Bishop?
Yes.
Wales?
Yes.
Motion carries.
It's the usual no group over here, Bob.
Nothing against
There's
it.
nothing wrong
yeah.
with that.
We talked to guys in IAI about their contract. But it's not.
Has everyone seen our proposal?
Everybody got a copy, correct?
Yes.
Just a quick introduction. My name is Bob Polanic. This is John Edwards. I've been with Infrastructure Alternatives for since 2007. John, I don't know.
2018.
Yeah. We're primarily in the management, maintenance, and operations of small to medium-sized water and wastewater utilities. We consider Kalkaska more on that medium size. We do operate facilities nearby. Beaver Creek, just south of Grayling. We run a wastewater plant over in Braun for Go-Go Squeeze. We take care of Leland's electric system. We're down in Herring Township, which is on the north side of Cadillac. We do their water and wastewater. also down in Baldwin. It's kind of our northern area projects, and we're throughout the whole southern part of the state as well. We've kind of been here in a limited capacity for about the last year. Anywhere from one person for 40 hours a week to, a few of us really cranking out projects, trying to get everything done in a short period of time. We just flushed the water system. 2 or 3
Located and turned all valves.
Yeah, just kind of doing the preventative maintenance that a lot of utilities need, and sometimes it can be a load to get done annually. And for us, we blocked off the schedule for 3 or 4 employees for 2 weeks to kind of get all this work done, and just dedicated that. That's not easy for a DPW staff to do when you have constant day-to-day work to do. You can't just take 4 guys and just only do one project for 2 weeks. So we have resources. I list all of those projects off because we have resources, but they're all certified operators. A lot of them have already been to Kalkaska and helped do these projects, or they're cross-trained at the wastewater treatment plant. We worked well with Lloyd and Nick. But over the last year, we've gotten a really good feel for what it would take to operate and maintain the Village of Kalkaska's water and wastewater system. So we have our proposal. It kind of lists out that there'd be 3 full-time employees. One of those employees would be Brendan Wolf. Aaron and I have talked, and we've discussed it with Brendan. We believe he's excited about the opportunity to come on board with us. If anyone has any questions on why we're looking to bring him on board with infrastructure, I can answer that.
Well, I'll go quick and just say that, so you have a contract price in the contract. When we take the 3 people we would need to do what they're gonna be doing, it saves us about $20,000 a year if we hire them. We have to train them, we have to find people that can pass a test, we know how hard that's been. If Bob goes on vacation, John covers. If John goes on vacation, the next guy covers. They have the depth already, they can run the system, they know the system. And it's all inclusive, it's all the water system, all the sewer system, the snow plowing, the grass mowing, all of it. We're gonna maintain the entire system. But Lloyd is still here, Lloyd is an operator as well now, to assist them if need be. Like, hey, we don't know where this is at. Oh, I remember where that one's at, it's over here. We've already seen that. We are 2 years, or we're 2 years behind on valve turning and flushing. We've just ignored it for the last 2 years. I hired them to fix it. It's fixed now. We're in compliance. We were out of compliance for the last 2 years because it just didn't get done. Nobody wanted to do it. They said they didn't have enough help. Nobody made them do it, and it didn't get done.
Can I ask some clarifying questions?
No.
I'm going to.
I'll pretend that I have her.
Yeah, okay. So right now, Lloyd is our current DPW staff. Do we have others?
We have Lloyd, we have Don, and we have Jake Tracy.
And
Is Brendan in that?
I guess Brendan would probably fall under that, and then Todd is part-time DPW as well.
how many of them work in the power plant now? Or sorry, in the
Well,
wastewater?
Brendan is the
water?
sole person in the the wastewater treatment plant. You would say that professionally. And then Lloyd and, we have Craig Wood part-time as well right now. Craig is running the iron removal plant
Until this fall.
until the end of October.
The
So I was
water.
gonna say his contract's
Correct.
coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the extent. He doesn't want any more, that's it.
So we're only replacing one position for this, right?
Well, they would be replacing Brendan. We never hired a person to replace Jake out there, so technically, and we're paying IAI to do that now. So we're saving two positions there, and then once Craig's done with his contract, we'll be saving that position as well. If you did the math of what these three positions would cost us, and versus what their contract is, their contract's about $20,000 a year more than the salaries of those three positions, based on Jake, Brendan.
You said $20,000 less than, right? That's what you meant?
Our salaries would be $20,000
Oh,
less than what their
salaries,
contract
right.
is. Their contract's $20,000 more than what it would cost us to run it ourselves.
And this would include Nick's position, right? Like we wouldn't be
Correct.
replacing that. And then about how many, I'm sure it's in here, but like how many hours would that cover approximately,
Well,
or
it's-
does it depend on what needs to be done?
I mean, it's 3 full-time positions. It's, 120 hours a week. There's gonna be weeks where we need to bring in more staff and you could be looking at 160. It just depends on the workload. We're also gonna do the 24/7 on-call emergency response. But yeah, it's 120 hours a week.
Is this similar to the support that we had from Gus and Zubek in the past? Or is that a different scope of work that they
I
were
don't know
doing?
that we've ever had.
Maybe it wasn't Gus and Zubek, but
That's
we-
underground.
No, it was someone who
Severn
was
Trent?
helping at one of the plants.
Well, they are,
That was them.
That
We
was-
did that in
They've been doing that
2018.
they have a body out at the wastewater treatment plant.
Oh,
with
okay,
Brent.
that is.
So that's where that, are you talking about through the bills?
So would that be would this be
No,
in addition to
this
that
would
or
replace that.
replace it? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, I think that's all my questions.
Well, I don't think you put the value on the headache either.
Just the hiring and training part of it alone, to me, is worth
We've
it.
the
seen-
licensing
We've seen,
problem.
that's what I was gonna say, we've seen what it's like on the licensing end. I mean, we've offered to teach and it didn't work.
Plus it frees up the DPW workers that we currently have.
And then,
To do,
But they're supposed to.
and then you'll see streets patched and playgrounds updated and the signs fixed and all those, the things that don't get attention because those are obviously priorities. They will
So
focus
Brendan
on.
will be their employee then instead of ours.
That's still being negotiated, but that would be that's probably what I would
Seems
anticipate.
practical.
It's up to Brendan at this point. But either way, we'll find a spot for Brendan if we have to, but we're not gonna abandon Brendan.
Please don't so well, they're just going to see.
Yeah. Okay, as part of Chair of Finance, I make a motion that we accept the contract from IAI.
I'll support that.
Any more discussion?
Well, it gives us somebody to blame if it goes wrong.
That would be Bob.
Just like that.
Thank you.
Spend $20
And I'll take a roll call vote for the approval of the IAI contract, if there's nothing further. Larson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes,
White,
yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Wales.
Yes.
Motion carries.
go for it, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We're very excited to take on this responsibility. So we're local. I live in South Boardman. John lives by Bear Lake. My wife works at the hospital, so we're already part of the community, and we look forward to our relationship.
Build relationships,
Yeah.
and improve the water system.
Good.
That'd be great.
That's all I have for finance.
All compliance. Moving on, other committees, park and recreation.
We met, it was last week, here in the office at,
I'll do that.
I think it was 4 o'clock we met.
We'll be-
We discussed Chalker Park and a few other things, but we have nothing for, we have another meeting this Wednesday to talk to designers on possibly designing a new park.
And possible grant
Yeah,
opportunities.
grant opportunities. That's all we have.
Sorry, did you say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was talking,
Oh,
did you say Chocolate Park? Did you talk about the meeting we had Wednesday?
yes,
Perfect.
yes.
Housing Development Committee.
Housing Development met on the 6th at 5, all the usual suspects in attendance. And we discussed and set a date for a community open house at Railroad Square Pavilion on August 12th, 4 to 6 p.m., where we will take public input on what they would like to see in our housing master plan. We will be putting out reminders and flyers at the all boards, starting at the all boards meeting on Wednesday, and posting on the various village websites and getting the community involved. This will be much like our original master plan community picnic that we did, where we just invite everybody down to put the dots on the board and scribble some notes and talk about what they want to see happen. Try to get get some traction going. This is a master planning year. So we're in the same boat we were a few years back, where we're trying to get everybody coordinated and working together through the village, county, parks and rec, the library. We want to make sure that this housing master plan goes into effect along with the new and updated master plan.
What time is the meeting again?
4 to 6.
Everyone's clear.
At Railroad.
Sure. So another thing that was pointed out to us at the last meeting that we had, I think it was a guy from Charlotte, is that we have to not really focus on the houses necessarily being in the village. We have to start working with the township and the county. And a big part of that is we still benefit from it because the businesses come here. So, because we're running out of places to put houses. We have some room for apartments yet, but that's part of this fixing the relationships with our neighbors. We have to work together. And that's how the Kalkaska will benefit, the entire county, but the village specifically as well. So it's just a win-win. And we just gotta start fixing those relationships.
Barring any questions, that was all I have to report.
Any questions? No? Good.
That was our.
Moving on, village officer report, police report.
Officer Clark is back to work on administrative duty. He injured himself at military duty, and you would think the military would be better at taking care of their people, but they're not. So he is here, and there's plenty he can do to help us, so we're just glad to have him back to work. Police department wise, I think that's about it. On the managers, I was gonna talk about flushing and turning of valves. They stole that away from me. But that is done, and that was a very important thing, like I said. I have IAI contract with a question mark, obviously that question mark's gone. And then I wanted to just mention that I talked about that too. So I've covered everything. I just spent all that time to tell you I've already covered
He
it.
has a thing.
Officer Clark.
So I just want to let everybody know, I know social media is a thing nowadays, right? So we have a new Facebook page for the police department. We have been trying to keep up on the stats on that so that everybody in the village can know what the police department is doing and how busy we are. So if you have any questions, please feel free to look that up. And I just want to make sure everybody knows that's there. That way we try to put out information on that for things that's happening, like priority things that we can't really reach everybody real quick. So please, if you're a village resident or Kalkaska resident, please get on there, and that way we can keep you up to date on things.
How new is it?
Well,
We've had the Facebook page for a while, but he just
we had the
created a
Facebook
new
page.
one, 'cause I
There
left
was
mine.
Facebook didn't like how many devices were logged into it, and they locked our account out.
Gotcha.
And we tried to reset it, and they wouldn't allow us to, so we had to create a new
So
page.
it's a new page.
Yeah, so it's still Kalkaska Department of Public Safety, but it's just gonna be the public safety symbol instead of what the old one was. So,
Well, that kind of reminded me, I'm actually surprised no one's asked, but we had the crime lab here
last week,
last week at Level Acres, doing an investigation for us. We do not believe it was any foul play or anything, but because of the nature of the scene, we had the state police investigate it for us. We're still waiting on the results, but based on the autopsy and their preliminary investigation, it does not sound like anything other than a freak accident. But we wanted to be thorough.
All set? Well, for my report, I would just like to say, wow, what a year it's been. And it feels like things may actually be coming back together, and I appreciate the hard work, and I appreciate you, especially. I like you, but I appreciate you especially. I know everything that you've been dealing with. No, you're not. Thank you. And thank you guys. I think that that's gonna take a huge weight off of a lot of our DPW that has been so stressed trying to keep things running, because if the toilets don't flush, everybody notices that. But apparently people notice grass not being mowed and stuff not being taken care of too. So hopefully we'll feel a balance and a shift happen here over the next month or two. And I'm excited to see that happen. That's all I have to say. Go ahead.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of embarrassed about that, so that will be fixed.
Yeah.
Our other lots are all mowed. I missed that one. So, I'm sorry, we'll fix it.
Moving on to unfinished business, we had to get these in order for our ability to adopt them. A, consider adoption of ordinance 2022-007 to amend section 50.34 penalty for village compost of the village code of ordinances.
I'll make that motion.
Motion, support Morrison. Any discussion?
No discussion?
No.
All right. Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes,
White,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Wales,
Yes.
carries.
Consider adoption of ordinance 2022-008 to repeal section 91.26 pit bull dogs of the village code of ordinances.
So moved.
I'll second.
Kinds of support for that. Wow. Motion and lots of support. I know that's good.
Great,
Have we already talked about that? Does anybody want to?
No, I think we don't.
I thought we talked about that.
we did.
Because we did, because they didn't have it for it. Come back to this next one.
A reminder for the general public, this is just pulling the designation of pit bull. We still have a vicious dog ordinance, so it's not that we're not looking out for the community, it's just that it's unfairly pointing towards a dog that is generally fairly harmless.
Motion and second to adopt ordinance 2022-008. Needham,
yes,
White,
Yes.
Bishop.
Yeah.
Dunham, yes. Larson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Wales,
Yes.
carries.
Consider adoption of ordinance 2022-009 to add chapter 73 Jake break to the village code of ordinances. Who wants to make that motion?
Motion.
Motion. Okay. Motion and support. Anybody want to discuss this?
yeah.
Does everybody know what that is?
I'll
Most people is gonna get it as soon as they do it.
It's very easy to hear.
Like, yeah, I've been sitting in the railroad square when you couldn't hear the door shut.
So the officers will get it as soon as we have it approved, and they will get direction on how to enforce that.
And what do we need to do to get one of those signs that those communities have at the?
That's
I will
We
actually
actually
have
need
the
to do that
signs ordered
first.
and we will place
That
them
is
at the entrance
amazing.
to every side of the building.
We need to do that first before we
So
start.
much.
So they
They
know
will be
we changed
posted the
it.
same as we would have the
Because
frost law
I did
signs.
see those in other communities and I was, okay.
They will be posted at all entrances to the village.
Let's talk about signs.
I gotta slow down in other ways. Wow, that's great. Brakes, like the brakes. Go.
All right, take a roll call vote. White,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes,
Wales,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, moving on to new business. Discuss status of ongoing investigation. Madeline, yeah.
Hello, everyone. Madeline Lane from Warner Norcross. I think I met everyone last time, but wanted to give a brief update on the status of the investigation. There are two different parts of it. The first is the question about the legality of the adoption of the contract. I have copies of the minutes from those meetings as well as the contract, and our municipal specialist is looking into those at this point. Don't think that we're gonna find any problems, but I'll make sure to include that in the written report to this body. The second part is to look into any personnel, HR issues regarding employees of the village. I'm happy to report that so far reviewed some documents. Thank you to Angie for helping me get those. Interviewed 5 witnesses as of today. I've got 1 more scheduled. A couple of requests out that I don't anticipate hearing back from, and then a couple of additional individuals we want to reach out to. But so far, no evidence of financial improprieties, of any wrongdoing. You know,
Can you say that really loud?
no wrongdoing. It appears, you know, based on what we've heard so far, some kind of expected bumps in the road with a change of leadership and management style, maybe some personality conflicts, but, you know, absolutely nothing other than people with some hurt feelings on all sides. So we will finish looking in, speaking to those last two individuals to make sure we're not missing anything, and then anticipate getting you before your next meeting a report that will have some suggestions for lessons learned and maybe how to move forward best for all involved. So with that, any questions?
What is this costing the village?
Well, that's a good question. There's no specific cap. We're just doing it at my hourly rate. So that I can get that. I don't have the current total, but that information we can get to the village manager and president so that they can let you know for the costing. But I have been doing most of the interviews via Zoom so that you don't have to pay for any travel. And I was able to do 3 in person today while I was already here for this meeting in order to save travel time.
I mean, I appreciate you looking into this and getting this over with, and it was great working with you, so.
I appreciate that. I'm hoping it's an opportunity for everybody involved to feel like they're heard, to feel like, their story has been heard, and it'll be a good opportunity for everyone to mend fences and move on in a very productive way. So, any other questions?
Yes.
Sorry. How'd that go with that?
Can you tell who has been directing your time and focus?
No one in particular has been directing my time and focus, so I asked, I did ask the village president for names of individuals that he felt comfortable sharing that may have made reports, since my understanding of the ordinance and the policies is that if there is going to be a report made regarding the village manager, it has to go to the president. But then I have, since when I have spoken with all of the potential witnesses that we got, either from that as well as written documents, I've also asked those individuals who they would like me, if they feel there's anybody that I should be speaking with. So I have also spoken with those individuals. So for example, when I spoke to employees in the village manager's office, I asked, do you have anyone you want me to reach out to and speak to? And so was able to speak with those people as well, so that we made sure it was an inclusive, it was an inclusive investigation from that
And
perspective.
if I could speak to, in addition to, after the last meeting and with people knowing this, also any community members that came up with anything or emailed me, I also forwarded that information to Madeline.
Yeah.
Directly, and then CC'd somebody else usually.
So trying to make sure that we get all sides of the story as best as possible. If anyone has anyone they want to make sure that we have spoken with, please let me know, so we can do that. But again, based on everything I'm hearing, I'm hearing pretty much the same story from everyone, which I think is just some bumps in the road with the change in management, some hurt feelings that are causing people to kind of go into their camps and making it very difficult for people to work together.
Madeline, I really appreciate you giving us the update and what you are doing for us. I think it's a really sad state of the village that we had to do this. But when everybody thinks that something is going on, you have to bring in a party and find out if anything is going on. And when you find out that there is nothing going on, move on, folks. We'll wait for the conclusion of your investigation, but I certainly appreciate your time and work.
No problem.
I still have questions.
Go ahead.
Were all village employees invited to just meet with you, as in like communication sent out to all of them, or was it just a list of who was sent to you?
I didn't, I didn't, for instance, talk to the receptionist. I haven't interviewed Angie, in part because I didn't want to waste time and money on something that their names weren't coming up. So I haven't, for example, reached out to the entire police force or everybody in DPW. I just talked to the individuals whose names came up from both sides in the interviews I had. I'm happy to do that, but given the fact that I wasn't finding anything, I didn't think that it was worth the time and money to talk to everyone.
Right. I just wanted a little more insight on how that process happened. When we voted last month, it felt very urgent, right? Like nefarious was thrown around, and so I honestly expected to be contacted. And, I mean, it's okay that I wasn't, but I was hearing from many people that they were not being
She
contacted.
waited.
You're one of the two I need to talk to.
She actually asked me for your number today. Just so
You're on
time is
the
coming.
list.
But what I meant by that is, I just wanted to kind of make sure that the list of people to talk to wasn't just coming from one side. So I appreciate hearing more about
I
how
appreciate you asking
that
that
went
question.
through. And so just to clarify, you've already kind of touched on this, what you're looking at right now is workplace issues, not anything criminal.
Correct.
And, can we know now what the allegations are? Because I have been told rumors, and that influenced my decision last month, and now I think that that was unfair for how I voted. And so I would like to know, and I don't know if we need to go into closed session about that.
I can give you some generalities without names that I think will answer your question that won't necessitate going into closed session, but if you would like to, more than happy to do that.
Well, I don't think I can call it, I think it would have to be one of the employees that is mentioned.
So I will just not mention names. So, I believe, the allegations, I received in detail when I spoke to two particular employees. And the allegations had to do with what they believed to be harassment, bullying, retaliation, and their concerns about perhaps changes in their job duties, that they were concerned that perhaps that their pay should have been raised and it wasn't, or they should have been given particular, I'm trying to figure out how the benefits that they weren't, based on the fact that people believed that they were passing around rumors. I believe that those people believe that. I just don't believe that anything has happened that would rise to the level of actionable HR. So for example, I'm sure that people do believe that their job situations or their job duties may have changed, but it wasn't as a result of them making an HR report. Does that make sense? I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't. So I do believe that it was worth looking into, because these individuals, feel that they've been wronged, but based on the evidence as I've gathered, both from written contracts, from job descriptions, and from witness interviews, leads me to believe that their beliefs are not based in fact.
Can you tell how many hours have been spent on this?
I can't tell you right now, but I can get you that number. I can send it both to the city manager and the city president.
And are you able to share publicly who it is that you talked to?
I don't think, because the investigation is not over, I don't think I should share that publicly yet, because I want to make sure that for the remaining interviews, those individuals don't get a call from anybody. But we can certainly put that in. If this council would like a written report, we can certainly do that along with, that would not, it would be up to this council whether you release that publicly. But we can do a confidential version for public release that doesn't have names, and then we can do names for this council to see. Like witness one was witness two, but you would know who those witnesses are.
I requested this to be on the agenda. Does anyone else have anything that they want to ask about, or are you satisfied
Yes,
with how it's going so far? Would you say that you're over 50% done?
Oh yeah, I'm hoping to be done by the end of the week.
You can.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Do you want me to stay?
You can go.
All right.
We would like you to leave and punch out. Thank you.
That's okay. I assumed that was the answer, but
And have a
I'm
great
here
night and
right now,
drive safe.
all right, thanks.
B, consider adoption of ordinance 2022-010, subdivision control. Would you like to? I'll go give the motion on the floor.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion and support, open for discussion. That's all.
So it's a subdivision ordinance. When I saw this, I said, what do we need a subdivision ordinance for? We don't have subdivisions. That's not what this is. This is about dividing properties, subdividing. So we just didn't have anything, we do have something, but it's not as well written as this to go with our new ordinance. So it's just an update of the existing subdivision ordinance.
The fairly existing subdivision.
Yes. It was severely less.
It was just an.
As is the next one.
Right.
Do we have to get rid of the old one?
Angie, do you remember that? Is there something we have to repeal?
Not in this particular case.
No,
I don't
it didn't
believe, but I
exist,
think
right?
That's, yeah, that's exactly.
I said that wrong. It doesn't exist currently.
Now,
We needed it.
did these line up with the counties as well? You know, like subdividing the lot into so many lots or so many acres into so many lots?
Probably somewhat, but I'm gonna guess it's quite different because our lots aren't nearly as big.
It's big, okay.
But you are limited by statute on how many times you can divide a
That's what I,
lot.
that's what I.
That would be the same, yes.
Yeah, sitting
We
on
just-
zoning, I
Yeah, we
remember
can't
that.
control that.
But that for us doesn't even apply because we don't have anything big enough to split that many times.
Any more discussion? Are you ready?
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes,
White,
Yes.
Wales,
Yes.
carries.
Consider adoption of ordinance 2022-011, volume condominium.
Same thing, the attorney's pointed,
There's a
just
correction
make
here.
your motion.
So the correction is, the first one we just did was 2022-011.
1-0.
Is that's the subdivision,
Got it.
and this one that we're doing now is the condominium at 010.
Yeah.
So the numbers are flip-flopped?
Yeah, you just flip them around.
Did you get that, Angie?
Oh,
Motion still holds.
Yeah. So we
Yes.
still need a motion.
Good catch, Bobby.
thank you, yes.
Taking a motion for the volume condominium.
Here.
Motion, a second.
Second.
Thank you.
And again, this was just another one the attorney pointed out when they wrote the zoning ordinance that we did not currently have and needed to be included.
Any more discussion? Whatever you're ready, Ann.
Dunham?
Yeah.
Me?
Dunham, yeah, thank you. Larson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes,
White,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Wales,
Yes.
motion carries.
Consider adoption of ordinance 2022-012, dangerous structures. Motion, please.
So moved.
support.
Motion and support by Diana.
And this one, I think the housing committee would agree with me, is one of my favorites,
And beyond overdue.
because this is going to help us eliminate some of these vacant properties that are sitting and just deteriorating. And for example, the cat house on the corner, I'm not gonna finish that one,
We know we don't-
on the corner of Cherry and Fourth, that has been a problem for a long time. I think this ordinance actually allows us to address that and fix that problem. We have not had that ability.
Or the house next to the next door food store, the white one.
The house next to the next door food store, the white house in the garage are there, the house on Pine Street, there's a house, I mean, we have a few houses already that this is going to help us resolve.
This is solidly legal, I'm sure.
Oh, yes,
Good, good, good.
I did not write this.
Any more discussion? Whenever ready.
Let's take a roll call then. Larson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes,
White,
Dear God, yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Wales,
Yes.
motion carries.
Authorize police lieutenant as cited on village general account and remove assistant manager from all bank accounts.
Well, I definitely support that.
Do you make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll support
I'm
it.
always,
Okay, that's a support.
I was going backwards.
Any discussion on this?
Why are we removing someone still in their position from the bank accounts
We're removing Scott at his request,
at his request?
correct, Angie?
Correct.
And we're adding Bill because Bill needs to have a debit card just for transit, for processing stuff.
So that's something that will stay even after the new assistant manager starts.
I don't anticipate
I don't need one.
it being on the, having to be on the account. When we set up the new bank account, Scott, it was that transition time, so he ended up on it just basically by default. Between Angie, Valerie, and I. Are you? And you? But you for different, obviously.
No more discussion?
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Wales.
Yes.
Carries.
F, consider recommendation from Brownfield Redevelopment Authority to appoint Cash Cook to vacancy on the board, term ending 1/2025.
I'll move.
Support.
I will tell you, I did run this by the attorney at Cash's request. There's no legal issue with this. There's no problem with it. And I'll also tell you, in the time that I've seen what our applications look like for boards, unfortunately, we just have to keep using the same people for this board to exist. We're at a problem now with, what am I trying to say? The number of people that have to be there. Quorum.
Yeah.
If we don't have Cash, we probably won't be able to make any board decisions. And with the 4th Street property, that's gonna be a problem. So,
Was it posted though?
yes.
Yes, it's been on the
It's
website for
eternally been
months.
posted
Yes.
for a couple of years.
Yes.
Brownfield's a really hard one to
I don't
fill.
think that board's ever been full the whole time I've been around here.
No, it's special support, it's nobody knows what it does, and it's not too exciting until it happens, and it's gonna happen, and it's gonna get really exciting, and now we need people, so. Do we need a roll call?
Nope.
No, all those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. G. Let's discuss meeting location.
Yes, I have this memory of us talking when we were still at the COA that we were going to move it warmer weather over to Railroad Square. We're starting to get kind of full here. Is that something we're still thinking about? Is this something we want to do?
The only thing I can think of that, with Mr. White's help, I think we just need to do something with the sound.
Yes.
And once we put some sound
Deadening.
deadening options on the wall, which I don't think is even a big expense. I think it's a very simple thing to do.
We don't want to damage the aesthetic of the pavilion. I was able to find sound conditioning equipment which matches the aesthetic of the building and would blend into the scenery and help knock down some of that echo. So we have the podium, we have Wi-Fi down there, so we'll be able to broadcast the meeting still. And the system actually decided to behave itself and work 3 meetings in a row, so whatever the gremlin was in there, it's gone. It's just the little things, and then there's the, property possession thing and scheduling and whatnot. So the idea is we're moving down there eventually, we're just working on getting everything.
This is gonna do for Angie, have to haul everything back and forth.
Well, we generally, carry everything the boss wants when she needs it done.
That was all. I just
And
wanted to.
that, and I'd have to figure out tables and chairs.
Oh, there's not table and chairs there?
Picnic
Big
table.
table.
It's a big table.
It works.
I think we should tables and chairs.
So we can't do potluck every meeting?
And just give it 7 bleachers. We have room for brief public comment again. Any public comment this evening? No. I invite everybody to the All Boards meeting on Wednesday at 6 p.m. The Michigan Association of Planners will be there doing an education. Also, all boards are going to report on what exciting things they have going on coming up this year or what they've accomplished. So I encourage all to do that. If there's nothing else, we will adjourn for the evening. Have a great night, everybody.
Hey,
I'll take it.
There it goes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure, yeah. Sorry. Nice to meet you.